FM 88.5, just for you.
It is exactly 1 p.m. from Morovia, Pleasant. Good afternoon and welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia and the rest of our one world. I'm Stephen Compton. First, the headlines. Criminal court judge Christopher Whaley on Tuesday disqualified contested jurors following a formal investigation by state prosecutors. Judge Whaley's decision comes after prosecutors argued that the jurors had previously served within the last 12 months. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning ended a 5-year strategic plan 2026 to 2030 standard stakeholders engagement in Painesville. Minister of Finance Augustine Gafwan says the 5-year strategic plan will focus on transparency, collaboration, and modularization. Deputy Communication Officer at the Group of 77, Pastor Clifford Payne, strongly rejects allegation linking him to attempting to bribe an officer of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. Away from home, Tanzania has canceled next month's Independence Day celebration, with funds to be instead spent on rebuilding infrastructure damaged during the recent election. Details of these developments, the news bulletin, and the voices of the news makers are packaged. We are taking a very short break to be right back. Welcome back. Let's now cross over to Sam Andrews for the bulletin of news.
Criminal Court A judge Roosevelt Willie on Tuesday disqualified contestant juror following an investigation prompted by state prosecutors. The judge's decision came after prosecutors argue the juror had previously served within the last 12 months as a direct violation of the national juror law. During their objection, the prosecutor subpoenaed several witnesses to appear, including the Minister for Human Resources at the Ministry of State, Jury Management Database Officer, the Jury Controller, and individual connected to mobile money transactions believed to be linked to the jury payments. Judge William denied the prosecution objection, citing insufficient evidence. After repeated challenges, the court issued subpoena to verify the juror's service history. On Thursday, Councillor Andrew Nimney, the current head of jury management, testified that the juror in question last served during the May 2024 term of court, which make him eligible to serve again. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning has concluded a 5-year strategic plan 2026-2030, external stakeholders engagement in Painesville. Speaking at the launch, Minister Augustine Gafwan outlined forward-looking vision for the Ministry of Finance 5-year strategic plan. According to him, the strategic plan focuses on transparency, collaboration, and modernization as central pillars of the ministry's next phase of development. Minister Gafwan stressed the ministry's commitment to an engagement process that will be open, straightforward, and free of what he termed scripted arrangements. He said participation from ministries, agencies, commissions, and the legislature is essential to ensuring the finance strategy reflects national priorities and the practical needs of government institutions. Nima County Representative Taha Wongbe has submitted two bills to the House for passage into law. Speaking at the Capitol building, the Nima County lawmaker said the first bill is intended to establish the Liberia Future Generations Extractive Savings Fund, a long-term national savings vehicle such as Sovereign Watch, a sovereign wealth fund, to ensure that a portion of Liberia's natural resource revenues are set aside, invested, and preserved for future generations. According to him, the second bill is the National Community and MSME Stimulus Act, which will put in place a powerful vehicle for local stimulus by writing support to small businesses, cooperatives, and enterprises throughout Liberia. Lofa County Senator Momo Saras has issued a strong warning to the Liberian Senate. The Senate Committee on National Security chairperson highlighted what he described as major flaws and risks in the contract governing operations of the Liberia Immigration Service. He said the implications, process, data security threats, and questionable capacity of private company currently administering resident permit services. Senator Cyrus raised concerns about the agreement for months and urged lawmakers to remain focused as they review what he termed the far-reaching consequences of the agreement for both the government and the people. The Deputy Communication Officer at Group of 77, Pastor Clifford Payne, has strongly rejected allegations linking him to attempting to bribe officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency for the release of his relative accused of illegal drug possession. He described the reports as misinformation, misleading, and incorrect. Speaking Tuesday at the Cab Temple of Justice, Pastor Payne denied allegations that he was arrested for bribery or attempting to influence LDEA officers. He said the LDEA did not charge him in connection with any bribe, but rather obstruction of justice. Liberia's major opposition political party, the Congress for Democratic Change, has broken grounds for the construction of a state-of-the-art party headquarters in Kakata-Magibi County. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, the county senator Nathaniel McGill emphasized the demolition of CDC party headquarters in Congotown has reinvigorated the party spirit, noting that CDC will construct headquarters in all 15 counties. The chairman of CDC Legislative Caucus challenged the ruling Unity Party to resign and call for election in 90 days to demonstrate their political supremacy if the Unity Party feels that they have done more for the Liberian people. The Magibi County Senator pledged 5,500 United States dollars along with 5,000 bricks as his initial contribution. For his part, the special aide to former President George Weah-Sekou Carrasco Damaro appreciated partisans and supporters for showing up and pledged 1,000 United States dollars as his initial contribution. The former presidential candidate, Dr. Clarence Moniba, has raised concern over what he described as significant financial disparities between ordinary citizens and government officials in the proposed US $1.2 billion draft national budget for fiscal year 2026. Dr. Moniba's remarks follow growing criticism from opposition political parties, including the Congress for Democratic Change and the Movement for Progressive Change, terming the draft budget as a potential threat to Liberia's economic stability. Dr. Moniba asserted that the proposed budget does not reflect the interests of ordinary Liberians, but instead favors a small group of individuals in position of power. He urged President Joseph Boakai to withdraw the draft budget and immediately increase the minimum take-home pay for civil servants to 500 United States dollars. According to Dr. Moniba, the fiscal capacity to raise civil servants' salary already exists, but said it requires decisive presidential action to implement. A physically challenged resident of Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, Jerry Laffa, is appealing for support and equal opportunities for people living with disabilities. According to him, many disabled Liberians face serious barriers, especially when seeking employment, even if they are qualified. He claimed companies often refuse to consider them because of their physical condition. Laffa added that he once attempted studying at Grand Bassa University, but had to drop out due to the environment not being disability friendly, limiting his chances of improving his education and future prospects. He stressed that although he is physically challenged, he will continue to speak out about the difficulties faced by disabled persons. Mr. Laffa is appealing to humanitarian organizations, community leaders, and the public to help empower people living with disabilities who continue to struggle for dignity, equal access, and economic inclusion. And Cakes for Survival Liberia, a non-governmental organization, has begun sidewalks repainting of major streets in Buchanan City as part of activities leading to the festive season. The exercise, which kicked off on Tuesday, brought together several transform at-risk youth who are serving as volunteers to beautify the city and contribute to ongoing anti-drug awareness effort. Speaking to reporters on the ground, the county coordinator of Cakes for Survivor Liberia, David Jackson, highlighted the organization's commitment to supporting underprivileged communities.
Would like to say many thanks to Sam Andrews for the bulletin of news. It's a regular feature on King's News Broom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia and elsewhere. One of our top developments, Deputy Communication Officer of the Group of 77, Pastor Clifford Payne, rejects allegation linking him to attempting to bribe officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. Taking a very short break, we'll come back to bring you voices of the news makers. Welcome back. With this first development, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning has concluded a 5-year strategic plan 2026 to 2030 standard stakeholders engagement in Pittsfield. Speaking at the official launch of the program, Finance Minister Augustine Gafwan outlined upward-looking vision for the Ministry of Finance 5 years plan. According to him, the 5-year strategic plan will focus on transparency, collaboration, and central period of the ministry's next phase of development.
5-year strategic plan, draft strategic plan for the Ministry of Finance and Development Plan. This plan is for the Ministry of Finance. This plan will outlast us So it is not a plan for us as persons, plan for the ministry. We want to do a whole lot in 5 years where we intend to carry the ministry, but we are a ministry that serves multiple clients and stakeholders. From your vantage point, you want to see the ministry in certain direction. We don't want this to be too scripted and regimented. We don't want, that's the reason why I have a formal speech, but I wouldn't want to talk. We want you to talk and to give whatever thoughts you have freely, so that we capture. It's never too late to get a good idea to make a document better. We've been on this path for months now. Another time we had a retreat at the Ambassador's Hotel, and 3 days brainstorming, but we haven't reached. If we haven't heard from you, some of you from ministries, agencies, and commissions, from your vantage points, there are certain things we could do better. Let us know. And from the legislature, watching the Ministry of Finance, from your vantage points, there are certain things we could do better. Let us know. Development partners, there are certain things we could do better. But there are certain things we are doing, you appreciate, you want to continue. Let us know. So that at the end of the day, when we finalize, we have a plan that is robust and that actually guides our path forward. So far, there are some thoughts that we have, what I call tentatively put forth as key things we want to do. Modernizing the financial systems and infrastructure, strengthening public financial management, capacity and professionalism, improving fiscal reporting and accounting standards, advancing strategic debt management and resource mobilization, digitizing human resources while promoting diversity and inclusion, enhancing service delivery nationwide, and leveraging technology to reduce delays and digitize government workforce.
The Finance Minister further noted that within the 5-year strategic plan, the ministry is also contemplating on constructing a new Ministry of Finance complex. He also underscored the need to revisit the 2019 Act establishing the Ministry of Finance, noting that several provisions within the Act required revision.
Alongside these programs, our core theme has proposed certain things and certain conversations we need to have. One, they are proposing that we contemplate the construction of a new Ministry of Finance. I don't want to say complex. Build a complex will have an impression that you want to rival the ministerial complex. Some are saying that we seem to be lonely on Broad Street. Education was our partner, but they have left us years ago. And when you check now, we are lonely. We don't have neighbors. All of them are this side, so some are saying that besides what they're saying, the building is very old structural. We have to start to prepare for the new Ministry of Finance building. It's in the thought. We want your thought. The other thing is the ministry has to evolve. The act of the Ministry of Finance was passed, I think, 2013, and there are a lot of issues concerning the act, and there are some debates as to what do we do. Certain departments, do we need to upgrade certain functions that are not assisting ministerial level? We need to carve things up here and there. So review of the Ministry Act is part of the conversation, and we're waiting on that too. 2 years ago, the function of the Controller and Accountant General was recognized and made a little stronger, but we haven't reached the point of independence that was anticipated. How can we strengthen the independence of the Office of Controller and Accountant General of the Republic of Liberia?
Liberia's Finance and Development Planning Minister, Augustine Gafwan, there speaking. Nimba County District 9 Representative Ta Wongwe has submitted 2 bills before the House of Representatives for onward passage into law. Speaking to reporters at his Capitol Building office on Tuesday, the Nimba County lawmaker said the first bill will seek to establish the Liberia Future Generation Extractive Saving Fund.
Today, we submitted 2 bills on the floor. One bill focused on the stimulus package, and that's a stimulus package for community support to local businesses and others as a grant. We are asking the House to put aside $10 million. $10 million can go across the 73 districts. And the idea behind this is simple. In my district, District 9, when I speak to the women, the women, the market women, they always ask me, so how can we get a piece of the government cake? The roads, they can't see the road. Sometimes the health stuff, no budget there for health. So they're asking, how can they get a piece of it? They want micro loans. In my district, we've given over $2 million in micro loans. I was just in my district, 4 towns reported, we gave them 130,000. They turned out 130,000 to over $2 million Liberian dollars in less than 1 year. So we're saying, let's get some grants to these small businesses between $250 to $7,500 across the board. This will enhance businesses, and this will ensure that at least our people can benefit. That's one bill. The second bill is near and dear to my heart as well, because it's what I believe drives an economy, drives the country. It's a sovereign wealth bill, if you will. It's to put aside 10%, all of the royalties, all of the fees that concessionaire pay to government of Liberia for future generation, for the young people. Look at bomb mines. Look at all these places that we've taken. You can't look at one bank account to say the money you're saving for our future children. It's insane. And right now, I feel like it's the proper time, talking about HPX, talking about AML, let's put some money aside. 10%, just 10% for future generation. And we'll have a little bit of wiggle room there, and you can just take it out. There will be unnecessary conditions that will have to be met for you to take it out. So those are the 2 bills we put on the floor today. If you go and ask those women in my district, other rural districts, they will tell you straight that money that come to them, the bill proposes 50% of the funds to go to women-owned businesses and women-owned groups. So right there, we know women are the engine of our economy. All the market women in Moravia, all the Gubacho women there. So they're in groups. When you give them that money, they take that money, turn it around, they send the children to school. It will reduce the burden on the government of Liberia. And it helps to alleviate poverty with the fact that they can pay for their children's school fees and all of those things.
The Deputy Communication Officer at the Group of 77, Pastor Clifford Payne, has strongly rejected allegations linking him to attempting to bribe officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency for the release of his relative accused of illegal drug possession. He described the reports as misinformation, misleading, and incorrect. Speaking to reporters Tuesday at the grounds of the Temple of Justice, Pastor Payne denied all allegation that he was arrested for bribery or attempting to influence officers of the LDEA.
Firstly, the LDEA didn't charge me for bribery. I was charged for obstruction of justice. This on Monday, upon hearing the news that this suspect in question, who is a family member, and was taken to the court. I went there in my capacity as a family member, not in any capacity related or within ties to the office of the vice president, neither the office of the second lady. I went there in connection as a family member. So when I got there, he has already been taken in custody of the court, and I was right outside, and upon hearing some unverified news that some members of the DEA were in the habit of collecting bribes and even requesting for additional payments. As a family member, I decided to confront the commander and to ask, to inquire whether the statement was true. It was true that the staff were afforded. So this family member is a suspect of the drugs, and he is an extended family member. Yes, so upon hearing the information, he's a family member. I never went there in the capacity as a member of the office of the vice president. I went there in the capacity as a family member trying to identify with a family member. When I got there, I went there to identify with him and to allow the law to take its full course.
So what happened there?
Nothing happened there, absolutely nothing I got at all. I just went there to identify with him. It was on Monday that I confronted the DEA commander upon hearing unverified information that some members of the DEA were collecting bribes on this. Knowing fully well that bribe or drugs issue is not really to upon that confronting with the unverified information, that was how the scope was. So basically, when I asked the question to know whether just to inquire, it was when the DEA commander asked members of the DEA to arrest me in that car and took other stuff from me and tried to handcuff me. So I was in the process of getting me handcuffed that I'm trying to resist, and we went on media to release information. So when they took ID card from me now, that was when they realized that I'm a member in the office of the vice president. That was how they started to roll down. But the office of the vice president has no connection to this. I never went there in the capacity in connection with the office of the vice president. I went there to identify with the family member. So basically, that was just misinformation from members of the press. Like I said earlier, the LDA has charged me with obstruction of justice and not.
Also speaking, Anthony Abraham William, who is serving as legal counsel for Pastor Clifford Payne, further clarified that his client did not bribe an LDEA officer as claimed by some media institutions.
The incident occurred on Friday. It started on Friday. He was arrested on Friday. On Saturday, Pastor Pan visited with his family, allowing the DA to go on with their investigation. In fact, after church, Pastor Pan so went there. So the DA officers are familiar with. So he had to allow these investigations. Let me say sorry, Pastor Pan. He had to allow these investigations to go on. So it was on Monday now when he heard that he heard from somebody that they are just keeping this man here not because of drug, but they want money. In fact, they got money from somebody, one additional one. That how can he feel that this thing was not? But if it is non-billable, why would somebody be accepting bribe? That was the inquiry that we are talking there, and that was the basis of the whole thing. But again, like we said, you guys can check with the LDA. The charges are clear on the issue of obstruction, and we have not been able to determine. In fact, the LDA have not been able to establish as to whether or not he was obstructing because he doesn't have the capacity to obstruct or whatever it is.
As a chief of
the alleged bribery did not even come from the LDA. Okay, the bribery aspect you heard about is a commentary in the back in the video from the poster or maybe the commentator now stating that posted allegedly he came to bribe, but he had gone raising the issue of bribe. I think that is where the information was now misunderstood as he doing the bribe. So that was not the case. So this is where we are. But he took his statement, and they took his statement yesterday, and we are waiting for further investigation. And
when do we expect him? Will they fall in the court?
But from our indications, we told the LDA yesterday that the information, like he said, it was unverified. In fact, he had to apologize for making statement and apparently appear and in a way that indicting the LDA. I think it's settled. So even if they were to carry into court, they say, oh yeah, they say no. But I think that's the basis for which they carry.
So he made a
So for the crux of this whole thing is about him being a pastor, and that's part him being a pastor working with the in the office of the vice president, not directly the vice president himself, but the wife who supervised or superintend the group of 77. Yeah, so that's where he worked, a media relation officer. In fact, he had gone to work, and then he heard his call and how he left from work. You saw his kind of attire, well dressed for job, and how his ID card was later on seen by these LDA officers, and they begin to ask him, let's see his ID card, because somebody has already gotten it. He didn't go even display his ID card to have even intimidated them. You know, why in the scuffle, one of the officers got his ID card and said, yo, he has an ID card. Let's see what the ID card is. When they saw the ID card, and when they say, oh, he's from the vice president office, then the commentator picked it up, say, oh, somebody from the vice president office has come to solicit bribe. That's exactly why. There's nothing other than, but we look forward to seeing that.
Anthony Abraham Will there speaking. Earlier, you listened to Pastor Clifford, the Deputy Communication Officer at the Group of 77. Up to this next development, Lofa County Senator Momo Saras has issued a strong warning to the Liberian Senate during its Tuesday session. The Senate Committee on National Security chairperson highlighted what he described as major flaws and risks in the contract governing operations of the Liberia Immigration Service. He noted that the implications possess data security threat and questionable capacity of the private company currently administering resident permit services.
Totem has sat this morning and listened to the preacher. She said, I took few things. She said, we are on a stage. She said that we should do things today for tomorrow. And she also said that we should keep it focused. Those were three things I took from the preacher this morning. But then against this background, since we are on a stage and we should keep focused and we should do things for tomorrow, I have for many months, if not year, spoken about this contract with the Liberia Immigration Service. Totem economy is not just because I want to speak or I just want to be noticed. I'm pushing the SP because it has so many implications on the Liberian government, its people. In my communication on October 28, 2025, I outlined that this contract was signed in 2021, October. And this contract is intended to digitize resident permit for aliens residing in Liberia. Totally, it would be interesting to note that the contract says that in the period of 5 years, there should be 350,000 have to be digitized. But it's not possible because our immigration inflow annually is just 6 to 7, at most 8,000 alien per year. How possible can they digitize 350,000 5 years? And the contract says if the 350,000 card is not digitized, the contract automatically extends. This company, if nothing is done, will be here for the next 45, 50 years for the contract. Not only that, this contract has performed so lowly. We have issues with revenue losses when the immigration themselves was using paper documentations to do resident permit. Our revenue generation was $5-6 million a year. Now it's less than $3 million, and we have to share the $3 million 60-40. When we were doing it as immigration, we're getting $6 million plus yearly. Now we have contact group, we're getting less than $3 million, and we're sharing $3 million 60-40. They are putting pressure on government to support Liberian Immigration Service, when in fact the Liberian Immigration Service is supposed to be supporting the national budget. Okay, this is so serious, and now when that the technical incompetence. These people should have established offices all around the country for the first 90 days. As we speak, they have a tiny office on 10th Street with less than 5 employees, and all of the employees are all Indians. Immigration as an institution do not even have access to the data that is being collected. The data is being stored in India. Yes. If you read about data protection, for which we don't have, we try to create a law to protect our data. As we speak, our data are not protected by law. It means you can manipulate, you can do anything about data, you will not be prosecuted because we don't have any law protecting our data. So, Madam President, our sovereignty is at stake. And because we are on the stage and we can keep focused, Madam President, we have to rectify this situation ASAP.
Lofa County Senator Momo Saros there speaking. And now we have an hour past the news presentation. This is a reminder that you are listening to the Wednesday edition of King's Newsroom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia and elsewhere. The top stories we are following this afternoon. Criminal Court A. Judge Roosevelt Wade on Tuesday disqualified contested jurors following a formal investigation by state prosecutors. Judge Wade's decision comes after prosecutors argue that the juror had previously served within the last 12 months. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning ends a 5-year strategic plan 2026 to 2030. Standard stakeholders engagement in Painesville. Minister of Finance Augustine Gaffwan says the 5 years strategic plan will focus on transparency, collaboration, among others. Deputy Communication Officer at the Group of 77, Pastor Clifford Payne, rejects allegation linking him to attempting to bribe officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, away from whom Tanzania has canceled next month Independence Day celebration, with the funds to be instead spent on rebuilding infrastructure damaged recent election arrests, the country's prime minister has said. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments. let's now cross over to Margibi County, where Liberia's major opposition political party, the Congress for Democratic Change, has broken grounds for the construction of what they term as the state of the art proposed party headquarters in the county. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, Margibi County Senator Nathaniel Mangel emphasized that the demolition of the CDC party headquarters has, but that's brought up spirit, noting that the CDC will construct headquarters in all 15 counties. The chairperson of the CDC Legislative Caucus has at the same time challenged the ruling Unity Party to resign and call for election in 90 days to demonstrate political supremacy if the Unity Party feels that they have done more for the Liberian people.
We decided today to come to just clean our party headquarters and to begin to build the headquarters based on the mandate of our political leader, Ambassador George Weah. You know, when the enemy thought they would break down our headquarters and remove us, and they think that by doing that they would have broken down the spirit of the party. But what they did not know was they re-energized citizens. They re-energized your leader. And you say, you know what? You are going about to do something that was necessary, something. By breaking down our headquarters, give us new energy to begin to build our headquarters. In 2016, CZ acquired this property. Because you know the part of the thing that we're doing, crown politics, we're in campaign mode. You are the ruling party, you have an obligation managing the taxpayer money. Now that we have raised the money to $1.2 billion, you need to manage that money. But say you want to get, if you want to get into campaign mode, and this is an open challenge to Unity Party. And I challenge Unity Party today. If Unity Party believe that they have performed, and want a million to carry this is an open challenge to Unity Party. Don't intimidate people. If you believe that you have performed, I challenge Unity Party to call an election today. Call an election today. Very easy. The Constitution provides for that. President Barker and Kum can resign to them without election in 90 days. And Kum and Barker can still participate. If they believe that they are popular, I see them putting broom on. They say they get crowd to their party. They're going to be putting broom on. And you know that party, if you believe you're popular, you have performed. I challenge you to ask.
Margibi County Senator Nathaniel Mangel there speaking. A physically challenged resident of Buchanan Grand Bassa County, Jerry Laffa, is appealing for help and equal opportunities for people living with disability. According to him, many disabled Liberians face serious barriers, especially when seeking employment, even if they are qualified. He claimed that companies often refuse to consider them because of their condition, even though he is a high school graduate and capable of serving in roles such as a data clerk.
Trying to put us together, it says up. We apply the rent, disability, going to get a shower. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not just saying it because now you see there's not a office there up. I'm shopping, you see them. Now we go try and carry just a wait and to bring those particular thing that money. So I get that money and buy my check it or Gary. It's okay. To bring one application. You know, it costs money. Just bring it. It costs money. And that money to do something good for me. We get there, you know, just really materials there. You're feeling challenge. You know, feeling challenge. Why you coming to here? You happy put it there. Seriously.
There's no space for you.
Oh, yeah, no space for you. When you have that thing, you see people production, I feel all that production you pay for it. I feel all that for you. I feel I went to be in that lab, bro. Oh, so that I'm not going to do now. What do I mean? Like you just pay your horse and you know that I'm very tall, so you bring it to weight down so that when I start crying or someone be in that leaf, I want it to be you know that about how they ever say. But then it doesn't mean that you find a person with disability, accept that too. At least for the building around there, you make it this whole fight. Another having you build a college every recently, and then you don't have a little disability, you go into that college, you need us to make it fair, bit higher for your very self. You pay some things that are different. Recently, the entire model of youth organization, pastor, you cover recently the whole around there. The pavilion doing the late former secretary regime of the city mayor, as you put around the crowd over, as you put around to the pavilion. So you see, people have kind of go to the drug police station in Iran. You give up to the every morning you see your mobile coming 150 and when they ask you here to be digging, will help you if you can make business them myself, will help you that you change to the school, you see what you do. One of the business.
And now, on the way from home, Tanzania has canceled next month's Independence Day celebration, with the fund to be instead spent on rebuilding infrastructure damage. In recent elections arrests, the country's prime minister has said. The announcement comes as the opposition and others have been calling for people to gather on Independence Day on December 9 to demonstrate about killings that took place following last month's electoral dispute. The opposition believes that hundreds of people died in the crackdown. The government has yet to give a death toll and has set up commission of inquiry. The country's president won the poll with 98% of the vote, described by the opposition as mockery of democracy. A key opponent were unable to contest the poll. Tindu Lusu has been in detention on treason charges, which he denies, while Luhagat Pinan's candidacy was rejected on technical grounds. Election observers have since reported signs that the vote was manipulated and fell short of democratic standard. While the International Coalition of Lawyers and Human Rights Group has now formally asked the International Criminal Court to investigate the president and a government for crimes against humanity allegedly committed during the arrest, including mass killing and secret disposal of more than 500 bodies. That's all we have for you for this Make We edition of the news program. But before we take leave of you, reminder of top stories, we close the photo. Criminal co-ed George Roosevelt waited on Tuesday, disqualified tested jurors following a formal investigation by state prosecutors. Judge Wade's decision comes after prosecutors argue that the juror had previously served within the last 12 months. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning ends a 5-year strategic plan 2026 to 2030, extended stakeholders' engagement in Painesville. Minister of Finance Augustine Gaffan says the 5 years strategic plan will focus on transparency, collaboration, among other things. Deputy Communication Officer of the Group of 77, Pastor Clifford Payne, has rejected allegations linking him to attempting to bribe officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. And elsewhere, Tanzania has cancelled next month's Independence Day celebration, with the funds to be instead spent on rebuilding infrastructure damaged in recent election unrest. Prime Minister of the country has said. On this note, we'd like to say many thanks to our reporters and editors for making today's news presentation a success. Sam Andrews was here with the news bulletin, And Jen and Persimmon, Sarah Control, and ably coordinated the sound. I'm Stephen Compton. Thanks for listening and watching.